mine for the taking to be an MD. As we move toward a new world order, a new life is born. I want a vaccine supporter. Anti-vax excuses, they don't hold water. It only gets hotter, she knows it's all over. These HMOs on her coast to coast clap, so why is she still bothered? Lonely roads, God only knows she never makes it home. Then there's this fodder. These folks think it's magic, just like Harry Potter. So up your nose, come on, here goes the cold water. These parents don't want them, we store this cold product. They move on to the next nose that flows, only God knows they make nada. So the soap opera is told and unfolds, it gets old for the doctors, but the beat goes on, it don't die. You better lose yourself in the movement the moment you own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot, do not miss your chance to grow. This new immunity comes once in a lifetime. You better lose yourself in the movement the moment you own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot, do not miss your chance to grow. This new immunity comes once in a lifetime. You better no more games, I'ma change what you call rage. Tear this motherfucking cat ball, two docs cage. I was playing in the beginning, the mood's all changed. I've been clapped at and spit at and booed off stage, but I keep trying. Their fears I decipher. Best believe I'll never stop paying Pfizer. All the pain inside amplified by the fact that I can't get by with my 9 to 5, and I can't provide the right type of care for these kids. Cause man, this BBR don't pay like a movie. I wish a happy ending is lit. This is my life and these times are so hard, and it's getting hard tending to ouchie sub Fauci. Plus a teeter-totter caught it between being a doc and fighting drama. Babies and their mamas, they're all screaming too much. I can't just stay in one spot another day in a shot, and it's gotten to the point I'm like a snail. I've got to formulate a plot, or some people die if I stop. Success is my only mission, failure's not.
George, look at there. If it isn't the pediatricians from Bloom Pediatrics in Detroit, Michigan, with their rap song dropping in the episode. Dr. Schaefer and Dr. Gober, welcome to the show. I love Michigan. I love everything Michigan, especially Kalamazoo, Michigan, MSU. How are you?
We're doing great. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming on. We always start the show with the same question. Why did you become pediatricians?
Want me to go first?
Go for it.
I guess the reason I became a pediatrician is probably unlike most people, I find kids endearing in all of their states of being. And so it was an easy choice once I applied to medical school and got into medical school. There was no wavering for the type of people that I wanted to take care of. And from a medical perspective, I think being able to take care of kids and show the benefits of preventative care is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I love kids. I think they're fun. I think I'm a big kid at heart that just never wants to grow up. And I really like the pathology. I like that it's a relatively healthy group. And I like the long relationship we have with just the whole family, not just the little person.
The relationships are so cool, right? To watch a kid grow up from diapers to go off to college. It's
I call my patients that I took care of from when they were born, when I first came out of residency, my yardstick patients. As they get older, I realize I'm also getting that much older.
That is the problem. The problem.
I don't know if you had kids when you did your residency. I finished my residency. I wasn't even married, and I was younger than all the parents. And then before I knew it, I could be the grandparent to some of the children now.
Right.
It's an interesting journey.
The patients' parents keep getting younger. In my eyes.
Yes. No, they are getting younger.
I know. Yeah.
Walk me through your practice. How many partners? I saw on Google Maps, I was stalking you, that you converted a little house into your practice. Is that right?
No, that's not exactly right. Our office is situated in a neighborhood, and so it might appear that way. We have a single location currently, and we sit on the very edge of a neighborhood. And the back of our parking lot is somebody's backyard, and a really cool somebody who has a pool and has lots of pool parties. But the practice has been around since the late 70s and has changed hands multiple times in terms of ownership, but it has always been a staple in this community. And currently we have 2 partners, myself and Dr. Groby, and we have 10 physicians, and we employ 4 part-time to full-time nurse practitioners and another 10 contingent nurse practitioners.
Wow. In one office?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Currently.
So to that point, we're building a second office currently to open in January of 2024.
Wow. How many exam rooms do you have?
25.
Wow.
25. Wow.
It's a big ship.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
It doesn't look that big on the Google thing. I just see this house. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
House.
You
where's
might
the-
have to look again. It's about a 7,000 square foot building.
Yeah, so that's not what's on Google.
Yeah. The kids do think we live here, though, but we
You
don't.
do?
My husband thinks that we do too.
Oh, with only 2 partners, you are living there.
And you're on PCC
We are.
and you love Max.
We do.
We do. We're an all Mac office.
Wow. Lots of love. Lots of love.
Lots of love.
Yes. Wait, where does all this joy come from? Because when I watched your video, I was happy for about 3 days. So where does this joy come from? Why are you happy?
Sure. I think you need a creative outlet. You need happiness. And while the patients generally are happy and healthy, there's sadness in medicine, right? And so we like to have fun here and we like to keep things lighthearted and we like to bring joy and do silly things that make our employees smile and make us smile. And sometimes our colleagues across the nation smile.
Yeah.
And to be honest, this whole idea of the music video that came for you guys to learn about us was born out of COVID, actually. The story that we tell of COVID, while the whole nation went into this turmoil and all of us, our lives turned upside down, it was an opportunity here where we made lemonade out of lemons. And it was the year that the PCC Users Conference became virtual for the first time that we did our first music video. And what's happened over the course of the last several years is the videos have become almost like a rap battle. Like you do one, I do one, you do one, I do one. And they've evolved over time and the production value has increased over time. But it was born out of making a video during COVID.
And the minivan, who designed the minivan to vaccinate?
Yeah. So that came to me. Basically, I got a text message from a colleague one morning and she was right. It was in December of 2020. And so it was right when the COVID vaccine had been approved. And she said, I had a dream last night that you rented a party bus and you took the entire staff to get vaccinated. And I wrote her back and I said, I love that dream. I said, we should paint a van and call it the vaccine machine. Turns out that dream became a reality. That van is actually one of our old partners. It's her Chrysler Pacifica. And that was a time when trying to find a car was not easy. There was no chips and then car dealerships had no cars. And so when she was in a good mood one day, I tapped her on the shoulder and I said, hey, we had this idea to wrap your van. And she turned around and gave permission. And so I guess it was April of 2021 is when the van was wrapped. And we took it, the main reason we had it was we took it to local high schools and we gave COVID vaccine at the schools.
Oh, wow. Wow. I think that's a very cool idea. Take me behind the video because the production is like real Detroit Motown production.
Right.
Did you pull that off? Just friends?
So turns out we can't sing, but we can rap.
In a recording studio.
Right.
Yeah, we had the idea, we had to come up with an idea for our next video. And we felt like we're from Detroit, so we should highlight something about Detroit. And obviously, Lose Yourself is one of the more popular Eminem songs. I actually wrote him a letter trying to get him to appear in the video, but did not get any response. But it started with rewriting the lyrics, which is how all of our videos have come to be. My sister and I actually sat in the basement during Christmas and rewriting rap lyrics is basically you have to have all the right syllables. So we sat and we rewrote the lyrics. And then as it turns out, one of our nurses, her husband is a sound engineer and had a background in rapping back in his 20s. So we gave him the lyrics and he actually then rapped the song back to us to listen to so that we could become accustomed with the new words and rapping it. And then he took us to his recording studio, which is where that footage was all shot. And we had the real life version of listening in headphones and he had all the lyrics up on the screen and we had his voice headphones so we could rap along with it. And as it turns out, rapping is really hard. People had told me to get on a treadmill and try and sing rap while I was on a treadmill, which I thought was a joke. But as it turns out, you need to be like aerobically fit to get all those words out in one breath. So Marty was able to allow us to record one line if we had to make sure that we didn't lose our breath during it. But it took a couple hours. And then the video, I had a friend who does videography and has an interest. He's a college student and has an interest in music videos. And we took a bus to downtown Detroit and made stops at iconic places in Detroit. And we had a little bit of a storyboard that we were trying to capture while we were there. But it was 2 days of shooting and 1 day of recording. It actually wasn't all that much.
It seems like you guys had a lot of fun.
We did.
We do. I think the idea is that every opportunity, there's always an opportunity for fun in whatever you do. And it's paramount to me that we capture that. And so what ends up happening is our staff, they're able to become a part of it. And it's a way of engaging with one another that's totally different and sends a good message.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the video. The song is catchy and the lyrics are perfect. And the production was just like, you were the real deal.
We've raised the bar for next year. We're like, oh no.
Yes, I don't know.
Pyrotechnics or something next year.
If George plays the guitar, so you can invite him. And I think Dr. Son plays the drums.
Yes, he's a drummer, right?
It may not be a rap. I don't know if you can play guitars and drums and while you're rapping, but you can have an old pediatric band.
That's right.
Yeah. Sky's the limit.
Yeah, no, it's a good outlet because you guys do something else besides medicine, man. It helps with physician burnout.
Yeah.
It helps to put it out.
Yeah, I read all of these articles about physician burnout. And to be honest, I think we're tired. We take care of lots of patients. We run a business, but around every corner, we're finding something new to be involved with to keep things interesting. If I use the word, the monotony of seeing 25 kids every day, that needs a divergence and to give you a renewed purpose for why we do what we do.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember with my senior partner, he retired at about 76. And one day I had asked him, so when do you think you're going to retire? He says, I will never retire. One day you're going to come to work. You're going to see me slouched over this chair. Yeah.
Wow.
That was the mentality. They did just practice and they retired about 4 or 5 times before they actually retired.
Yeah, there's a pediatrician local to the community who recently passed away, but he was still practicing. He was 94.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not good either. Because their own
Roby has assured me she will not practice that.
the problem is they had no other outlets. They had no other hobbies. They had nothing but coming to the office, seeing patients, and doing office stuff. That's all they got to do.
But that's my dad. My dad was born in the mid-30s, right? And that's how men were in that age.
Yeah. Well,
They put on a suit, they went to work every day, and they came home, had dinner with the kids, put the kids to bed, and watched the news and went to bed. And then they did it again the next morning.
those were the guys.
And I know when my dad retired, because he was forced to retire at 65, he hated it. He hated it. I need to go somewhere. We've evolved. I think we know that we need to have outlets for everything else that we want to do. So I'm curious, you run a large group. What are the biggest, the top 3 challenges that you see in pediatrics today? What's holding us back?
I think having enough time to do everything we want to do, the advocacy, to do the work, to spend time in the community. I think there's just not enough time. So then we need to find other people to engage and grow the team. So we don't feel like we have to do every single thing ourselves, but we can find others to carry out the mission.
Yeah, and I think generally in the practice of pediatrics, I think we're on the heels of this right now with the RSV vaccine, but is getting the payers to recognize the value of what we do. I think that's long been a frustration. And I think we're facing it head on right now with the RSV vaccine. I'm sure you guys are experiencing this too, but we very rarely have patients call us and ask us if we're giving a vaccine. That's not typically how things go. And that's what's happening here. And I think I have colleagues across the country who are hesitant to jump in because we haven't had the history and we haven't had the promise that this is going to be able to maintain from a financial perspective. So I think if the payers recognize the value of what we do, that would help us tremendously.
So how are you handling the monoclonal antibody?
Good question.
We're sitting and waiting, wondering what the right move is. Obviously, being active in SOPA and reading about our colleagues across the country and listening to what our leaders in the AAP are, the message that they're trying to send from a lobbying standpoint as our representatives in a big group. Our intention and our practice has gotten the reputation that if it's the right thing to do, we'll do it. We've given close to 27,000 COVID vaccines at this point. And so in our community, people have looked to us as leaders. And so we think, based on what we know from a clinical standpoint, this is the right thing to do, but we have a business to run.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. And the payers have 18 months to figure out whether they're going to reimburse you or not. Some practices across the country are just telling the patients they need to put their credit card down first. I don't know if Michigan is an all VFC state.
No.
So some practices across the country are saying, I can't take the risk. I'll order it for you. I'll be happy to give it to you, but it's $600. That's what it costs. And we'll bill your insurance. And if your insurance reimburses us, then we'll give you the money back.
We've talked about that scenario.
That's okay for the person making $200,000 a year. But how about the ones that are making school teachers that are making between 60 and 75, 85,000? And they're good people. They're working hard. They have insurance, but they don't really have $600 laying around to do what's right.
Yeah. I think that's our challenge, is that we have to take care of all the people equally, we think, and offering the same benefit to everyone. So we're waiting.
Will Michigan be ready with VFC? In Idaho, VFC said, we can't handle it this year.
I think Michigan will be.
Yeah.
Our health department has been pretty awesome. We didn't have much precedent until COVID came, and they have really been great. And we have a great relationship with our local health department because of the work that we've done during COVID. It seems as that will be the case. Majority of our patients we probably have a 20% Medicaid population.
And your local hospital, are they going to, because that's another big piece. If your nursery is giving it to the baby before they leave, then it's less stressful for the practice.
Yeah.
Have they decided what they're going to do?
If they have decided, they haven't told us yet.
Yeah. And our local hospital system has just gone through a huge merger. So I don't know that this is their focus right now. We do have some colleagues, we're close with some colleagues there, but that hasn't been, I don't think no one's like jumping on this, which is unfortunate, because for those of us pediatricians, we realized how great this could be. One of my very good friends is an OB in the area, and it just got the OB recommendation for during 32 to 36 weeks of gestation. And I said, are you guys going to do it? And we don't know. So it seems like everyone is sitting on the sidelines for a minute, which is not how you would anticipate this coming.
No. And I haven't been able to find out what the vaccine for mothers cost. I have no idea. I've tried to look around. I can't find the cost for it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I did see recently that Medicare was paying it for adults.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we just did an episode with Dr. Paul Offit, and he goes through all of the buttons. And then he said, if I'm remembering correctly, he said, 1, breastfeeding trumps everything else. So urge your families to breastfeed until the baby's at least 6 months. He voted no on the maternal vaccine on safety. It works, but on safety, there are 2 safety signals that are of concern. 1, premature births that were seen mostly in middle and low income countries, not in the US, and it was statistically significant. And 2, there is a slight increase that is not statistically significant on preeclampsia, 1.8% to 1.4%. He explained to us that the way the vaccine works is you get the IgG from the mom into the baby, and that doesn't happen until 36 weeks. Because I got to simplify things down. I don't have his brain. Okay.
How many of us do?
So if the mom asks me, I'm going to say, wait till you're 36, get the vaccine. Because then if you even deliver the next day, because the vaccine prompted delivery, it's not really that much of a premature baby. We're not dealing with a disaster. But if you last till 40, then the baby's protected. You don't need the monoclonal antibody. And if the mom says, I don't want the vaccine, I'm afraid, which is reasonable, you're pregnant. I'll never be pregnant, but I can't imagine having to make these choices. Do I inject myself with this or not? What will it do to my baby? They're telling me it's safe. It's most likely safe, but nothing's without risk. If I don't take the vaccine, there's risk. But if I take the vaccines and something happens, how will I forgive myself? And
Well,
she
it's have
says,
to be someone to give it also, which I don't know
yeah,
if
the obese have the
has
gut to do it, right? And the mom says no, then just, okay, tell me that you're not going to do it. We'll get it done in the nursery, or we'll get it done when you come to the office on the third day. We'll get the monoclonal antibody. So I think there's lots of options for people. It just depends what's available and they can do.
I predict everybody's going to want this vaccine, and it's not going to be available because nobody's going to do it. My opinion.
You mean there won't be any sufficient supply, or people are just
people are all on the sidelines. If you were going to give it, you should have already gotten it or had some kind of a system. I have yet to meet somebody that's, let's go do it tomorrow.
Yeah, you can order it. You can pre-order it from Sanofi, but their websites say shipping mid-September.
Yeah.
Our rep is talking to us every 2 days, obvious reasons. But so we're getting phone calls every day from patients asking if we get it.
The question is how much do you order, right?
That's true.
It's not inexpensive.
These are the things that she and I sit at night going, what should we do?
Right.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's been able to solve that yet.
Yep.
I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And Dr. Offa taught me one more thing in the podcast. I said, doesn't anybody think about the cost and the implementation of this?
No.
And his answer was, I sit in the FDA committee. My job is to answer 2 questions. One, is it safe? And if it's safe, I sign off. And 2, is it effective?
Yep.
He said, we've been having this talk for 20 years and nobody's done it, where there should be a third advisory board, or whatever you want to call it, that says this has a good return on investment in society, and this is who needs to pay for this. Because I think that things like this should be paid by the federal government for everybody.
Yeah.
Let's just forget about it. Just it in the amount of money they spend and the difference that we can make, this money should come from the feds, and everybody should be able to get it if they want it for free. And we're done. It's not that hard, but I'm dreaming.
For now, sometimes dreams come true. So
Yes, you can never stop dreaming, right?
That's your Peter Pan.
Well, and then I have a question. One of you is on a city council,
that would be me.
and is that an elected office?
It is.
So run me through it. Why did you do it? How did you run your campaign? What is the council about?
Yeah. So I'm what we call a city commissioner. So it's our local branch of government in our city of Birmingham, which is has a population of about 20,000. And I became interested about 5 years ago after wanting a sidewalk on my street. And that kind of propelled me into trying to understand a little bit about how city government works. And so spent some time volunteering on city boards. And then there was an opportunity where 3 incumbents weren't running for office. So there was a wide open field for me to try. And so I did.
You did, and you won.
And then I won. Yeah. Running a campaign is not easy. It was right on the heels of COVID. So I ran for office. I was elected in November of 2021. So people were still a little funny, and I am really busy. So as you might imagine, so people who had come before me who said, oh, you have to knock on every door in the neighborhood, or you have to, and I was like, I'm definitely not going to do that. Number one, I don't have time. Number two, I don't think people want you knocking on their door anymore.
Right.
So I enlisted some people to help, and I decided I would run the campaign the way I thought it made sense. I didn't hire anyone to help me. I just thought, how do you reach people? And obviously I had a platform of things I care about and a network of people. And so it's a 4-year term. I'm just nearing on year 2. And we vote on all things related to city government. So infrastructure changes, policy about wayfinding.
So you're already a very busy person. So how do you inform yourself on these issues? If I lived in your neighborhood and there was an issue that I thought it was important for you to know, how would I be effective at communicating that to you?
Yeah, people are not shy. So our email address is our city email address is published on the website. So anyone can send us an email. People have found me all different ways. They might stop you if they see you somewhere in town. They might ask you a question, or these days send a text message. I often answer like proxy to a friend of mine's parents who have a problem. They're wondering why a tree was cut down, whatever it might be. So I'm their avenue into knowing who to reach at the city. Most people, their issues are not policy related. They're concerns with their neighborhood that the city staff would take care of, but they don't know how to get there. They don't know how to find the right place. So part of my job is to just help them get the background of why something happened. Yeah. And then for the meetings where we vote, we're given a packet of information. So it's like homework Thursday before the Monday meeting. And there's everything you could want to digest about the agenda that we have.
And does the city provide you with staff so you can help No?
No.
If somebody's having problems with a fire hydrant, is there someone that you can call and say?
Yeah, the city staff. Yes. And we have an awesome city staff. Being involved on that side of things is I'm able to help people navigate that system better. You're more in the know about things that are happening.
Who to contact them, who to put them together with.
Yes.
All right. But if I wanted to ask you to do something, let's say I wanted you to put speed bumps in a road in front of a school, and I wanted to impress on you how important that was. Just asking you as a politician, as an elected leader right now.
Yeah.
What would be my best shot at getting you to pay attention to me? Message to you. What would be my elevator pitch to you so that I make you my ally, not turn you off?
Yeah, I think I've always kindness and being polite helps to get people's attention. I had a recent email from a citizen about an issue that he didn't know it, but was about a sidewalk, which is something that I'm very passionate about. And so I think generally approaching people with kindness, politicians, doctors, your waitress, generally kindness works. And so I think approaching someone who has an influence in policy, if you treat them kindly, not out of an area of spite.
Drop the anger. Drop the anger, right?
Yeah.
Just be human. Explain why you think this is important and ask for your help.
Yeah, and it's important because sometimes something that stares at you every day when you wake up in the morning doesn't stare at me every day. So I don't know what issue you have. So we need, just like those of us who are in the throes of running pediatric practices, people don't know exactly the challenges we face. And so it's important that people communicate. And we wish more of them did. Because usually it's the same people over again.
Like the Google reviews. It's either they love you or they hate you.
Yes.
There's no in between normal people sending Google reviews.
We take them with a grain of salt for sure.
And from the perspective of business owners, rappers, elected officials, moms, wives in the Midwest, what do you think we can all do, every single pediatrician, to unite us, advocate for our profession and for our children, which I would argue to say they're in big trouble right now? Yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think what you alluded to before is that we need to value ourselves and the services and care we provide. I think we undervalue ourselves, which propagates everyone else undervaluing us. So we need to realize that what we do really impacts the future. It really just isn't this 5-year-old today. It really is that 5-year-old that becomes a 25-year-old that goes into the community and advocates and is healthy and votes. And I think really that's what's important, is placing value on what we do and helping that next generation to be healthy and stay healthy.
Right.
Yeah. And I think working together and uniting experiences like what we're doing right now, sharing our vaccine video on SOPM, the idea is that if we can continue to inspire one another, if, like you said, if you watch the video and you smiled for 3 days, maybe you went out into the world with a renewed sense of purpose. That's just one opportunity where we could have that. And leaning on the AAP, I think, who has shown tremendous leadership in the last couple of years and really advocating for us as pediatricians. And if the pediatricians are supported, then we can support the little people So it's a trickle down. So I think having good leaders in those roles is important as well.
Absolutely. And I always say this because I think it's very true. When you fly in a commercial jetliner, they say, put the oxygen mask over your face first, then on your children or somebody that needs help. Because if you lose yourself, the child isn't going to get any oxygen. Right. And the same is true about moms, teachers, nurses, and pediatricians. If we're not well, if we're not thriving, if we're not flourishing, if we're not going into the office with a smile and looking forward to the day because we're overwhelmed with all these other problems that are not really of our making, the children won't be okay. So we need to focus on making sure that the people that surround the child, that village, is strong today because children need a lot of help today.
Absolutely, they do.
So are you guys coming to Washington in October to the national meeting?
I will be there.
Great. I look forward to seeing you.
Yes.
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
heard say that many times.
Yeah. Unfortunately, do you guys go to the hospital anymore to see the newborns or?
No.
No?
We do not. COVID broke that.
That broke that? Yeah. Because
I ask you, why don't you go?
A few reasons. The initial challenge was during COVID, they weren't willing to credential any of our new doctors. So that put a lot of strain on the current physicians having to share call. At one point, there was even an issue getting masks. So we had COVID positive moms. And then we felt, okay, we weren't keeping our physicians safe. So we felt like that wasn't the best choice. And then we were just so busy here, it made more sense to be able to see 4 or 5 sick kids or 3 or 4 new visits in the time it would take to drive to the hospital, park, get into the hospital, see one newborn, and then come back out.
And we didn't think the value to our patients. We did it obviously for a very long time. And I always enjoyed those visits because they're unique. It's a unique time in someone's life to go see their baby in the hospital. But we found that the value that the patients saw in us being there, it was more important that we were available at 7 a.m. to see their sick kid with a runny nose. And so we only had so many resources. So we decided to keep the resources in the office.
Yeah. So the whole idea behind the Pediatric Lounge was that, and this is way before you guys' time, we used to go into the hospital and grab donuts and coffee. And there was a place where the doctors had lunch or breakfast. And you did your rounds, you went down there because they had the mail slots for all the things, like a baby was born. So they would put the newborn record there, you would pick it up. One of your patients was seen in the emergency room, they would put it in the mail slot. Your medical records were delinquent, they would put it in the mail slot.
Right.
Right? And then you got to see everybody. You got to see the OB-GYNs, the orthopedic surgeon, the anesthesiologist, the internal medicine doctors in the community. And having lost that, we have lost our own community.
Yeah.
And we need that conversation, that support, that sharing of ideas really, I think, immunizes us against the burnout.
Yeah. Even in grand rounds, which used to be in person, which was a way where you would get to see your colleagues from around the community and you'd run into, like you said, the obstetricians, the orthopedic surgeons, the ER doctors, and now even grand rounds is virtual. So that like passing by doesn't occur anymore either.
No. And I think these conversations are so important. I don't know for you, but for me, when I'm struggling and I'm frustrated, if I see that other people are struggling to decide how to do that issue, the monoclonal antibody for RSV, I feel like I'm not alone in this. Everybody's feeling this way. I'm okay to feel this way. It's just, we'll figure it out. Maybe it's going to take a couple of months, but we'll get there. But when you think it's just, you start drowning in a little bit of water. So what else would you like to share with the national audience?
Wow. I think our mission here is we take care of kids. That's what I think the rest of the pediatricians across the country are doing. But I would ask that you find a creative outlet in your practice so that you are not subject to burnout. We like to have fun here at our office. And so I guess what I would like to inspire other people to do is to find a way to do that. It doesn't have to be something big. You don't have to make a music video, but surprise your staff with something. Build everybody up, because we tell our staff all the time, we can't do this alone. If I came into the office alone, it would be a mess. So I think we do really good work and can't stop. So we have to continue to find ways to make it fun.
Yeah.
How about you, Dr. Grove? Do you have a...
Yeah, I'm not nearly as inspirational, but I think what's really gotten us through this is our involvement in the community. It's fun to get in the community. It's fun to get out of the office and do stuff. And whether it's fun things with your staff, like going to the movies, or whether it's fun things for your patients where you're handing out popcorn in the park for the community movie, right? Like doing things that aren't necessarily giving a shot and giving advice about wearing your bike helmet. I think that goes a long way for the parents to trust you and the staff to enjoy working for you. And I think that's important too. If you can get your staff to buy into your mission, it's really huge.
I have one more ask of you. I want to make sure you guys are voting September 13th at AAP National Meeting. And is there anyone in particular you want to endorse and why?
Yeah, so I intend on endorsing Sue Presley. I think she has shown us, she has a really strong voice, both in what she cares about, and she projects herself very well. She's been a great leader in SOPM. Obviously, she, having had a private practice, she understands our challenges uniquely. And I think she will do really great for us this next year in the AAP.
One of the things I admire about her the most is she always shows up. She's the kind of friend you haven't talked to for 3 years. You pick up the phone and you go, I don't know what to do. And she's, okay, call me. Let's talk about it.
But she does that to people that are not her friend also, just to help.
Yes.
And that's really what we need. We need someone who can support the masses. We all have we're all fighting for a common good here. So I think continuing to unite together, I don't know how it is in the communities where you practice, but we're trying to, we have little bunches of pediatricians that try and we have a little text thread. Who's doing this? Who's doing RSV vaccine? Who's to stay together because we're all working toward the same goal.
Great. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the video.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for keeping the kiddos out there in Michigan. It's a wonderful state full of wonderful people.
We will keep doing that.
Thank you.
And thanks for giving your attention to all the pediatricians out there.
It's our pleasure.
We're trying one doc at a time.
Yeah. Hey,
it's our pleasure, our honor. So many geniuses like you guys. Inspirational.
All right.
Thank you for listening. This has been a production of the Pediatric Lounge. On the show notes, you will find links to our co-host and other important notes, as well as a timetable of the topics discussed today. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave us a great review, as it helps us greatly. In the meantime, we will see you next week. The Pediatric Lounge. The conversations are not intended as medical advice, and the opinions expressed are solely those of the host and the guest.